deep in the heart of Central Texas. It's the Best of the Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Texas Fish and Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas outdoor nation. I'm your humble host, Dustin Von Warnke, author, outdoor writer, videographer, speaker, blogger, and podcaster. And I'm so excited that you've taken the opportunity to download the show or stream it online, however you're listening. Thank you so much for doing so. Well, I'm back this week with a new show, and I apologize. I should have had a show out last week. If you follow our show, we do this every couple of weeks, every other week. And I had a show planned, but I just could not find enough hours in the day. You ever have one of those weeks, everything you've got to get done and then some. And if you know my work at all, I have a blog that I do for myself for warnkeoutdoors.com. I have one that I do for fishgame.com on occasion, and I've just recently posted this 4-part series of the NRA coverage on there at fishgame.com if you want to go check that out. And I'll talk more about that later. But I also have, a lot of writing that I do in the magazine as well, a lot of editing that I do for the fishing reports and that kind of stuff as part of my work for Texas Fish and Game Magazine. So there's always something going on in my world, and it was just a little bit too much to be able to get a show out last week, so I apologize for that. But I went to the NRA show in late April. I want to say it was April 28th to the 30th, I think is when it was. And so that was about a week and a half ago from when you're hearing this show. And really awesome show. It continues to get bigger and bigger every year. And last year it was in Louisville, Kentucky. I did a podcast on that, so I can't believe I've been going straight on these podcasts for almost a year now. It's hard to believe, but I love this. And that reminds me something. I don't know. I've kind of looked at the numbers lately, and it appears the downloads are higher on the shows that I do solo. So I don't know if you guys just like me or like the content that I bring on these solo podcasts, but I just want to thank you so much again for listening and for tuning in and for telling a friend and for sharing this. And if you've not done so already, please go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review if you like what you hear. That helps other people find us and helps us spread the great Texas Fish and Game word of the Best of the Outdoors podcast, which is a Texas Fish and Game podcast. So anyway, obviously this is a Texas show, but we broadcast all over the nation and all over creation, really all over the world, and really have a good opportunity to share this love of the outdoors that I have and my passion in the outdoors with other people, and that could be anybody around the world, really, that's listening. So wherever you're from, whatever you're doing, thank you so much for checking this out. Okay, so what I did on the website at fishgame.com, like I said, I've got some writing work that I do on there, and I'd like to try to break this up, because it turned out when I wrote it in Microsoft Word, it turned out to be the word count was like 4,200 words. And I said, how am I going to break this up into blogs, And so what I ended up doing was turning it into a 4-part blog series that's now on fishgame.com. You can go check it out. The NRA show coverage, part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. I'm going to go through those parts of the show that I basically thought were the most interesting. And what is maybe more interesting to me may not be what's interesting to you, but I like to find things that are new. I like to find things that are cutting edge. I like to find things that are interesting, to the general shooter out there. And I cover a lot of air guns and crossbows and bow fishing and that kind of stuff on this show. I'm just crazy about all those things. And we've got a big bow fishing initiative we're getting ready to start up here in June, coming up next month, that I'm working on the editorial and the pictures and the video for, and that's going to be called Bowfishing 101. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with that digital engagement we're doing with Bowtech and Diamond Archery. I think I mentioned that on the last show, but I'm really excited about what we're doing there. But I've been working on that and trying to crank this out, and it's just been a wild ride. So, but I like to try to find things at these shows that are interesting, things that engage with you, things that you will find, of value to you. And that's what I try to do is for you, the listener of the show, is give you a lot of value for your time and spending in our time together, on this show. So I really want to thank you again for checking us out. All right. First thing I did is I noticed that show gets really busy on Saturday and Sundays. We only just went there for this show. I went to Louisville all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in 2016 last year. But this year I hung out for the better part of Friday all day, and then Saturday half a day, and then we left. My boss and I left Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, early afternoon. And Saturday morning, that place got slammed. I mean, that you could hardly walk down the dang aisle. It was crazy. And it just goes to show you it's a free show to attend. You just have to have an NRA membership. They're having it in Dallas, Texas next year, which I'm really excited about. That's going to be in early May of next year. So plan to show up if you live in the Texas area for sure. We all have a lot of fun covering that, and I'll probably go for all 3 days. But I work in advertising, if you know me, for the magazine. I work in advertising for my main job and do the podcast and writing and that kind of stuff as kind of some of my side projects for the magazine. But, I got to see a lot of people, and I picked up a lot of really cool things along the way. And the first company I wanted to talk about was High Standard. And they are based right here in the great state of Texas. In fact, Houston, Texas, where the magazine is based. I'm out of Central Texas, as I said at the beginning of the podcast. But they're based in Houston, Texas, and they make 22s, 911s, those kind of handguns. They also make an AR-15 and an AK-47. And through InterArms, which is one of their manufacturing brands that they are under. And most people will know High Standard for their pistols. They make a great line of handguns. But the one thing I wasn't aware of until they came to work with us in 2016, last fall, for hunting season, is their ARs and AKs are absolutely fantastic. The fit and finish of these guns is great, and I really enjoyed handling those at the NRA show. They have a what they call an HSA Hunter Combo, which is an AR-15, which features a 5.56 or 223 upper and a 300 blackout upper. And that's kind of interesting because it gives you two options on the same platform. If you know anything about AR-15s and the cartridges you can fire in there, you have some options around the 223 casing being loaded with that 30 caliber bullet for the 300 blackout, or 300 whisper as some folks call it. And it's just an interesting thing to use for heavier game, for big boar hunting, or for deer hunting or anything like that. I hunt deer, as you well know, with a 223, and I've had a lot of success using some 223 loads, and we're going to talk about that further on the show, about some 223 loads that I've found are really effective for deer and wild hogs and those kind of things. But all that being said, if you like the option of having two guns in one, having a 223 upper and a 300 blackout upper is not a bad idea, and they come at a pretty good price point too for both of those uppers and the lower receiver for that AR-15. What really caught my eye with this company this year was their AK-47. They have a beautiful, almost looks like a rosewood or maple finished AK-47 that has Hungarian parts, but it meets 922R, which are the rules that you have to follow of having American-made parts in a foreign firearm like this. And so this is all compliant and everything. And absolutely one of the most beautiful AK-47s I've ever laid my eyes on. The fit and finish is nice. They have a really nice coating on the metal. The wood is finished very nicely. I've got pictures of this on my part 1 of the NRA show coverage on fishgame.com. You can go check out the pictures. Really beautiful gun. Really thinking about adding an AK to my line because I love Russian guns. If you know me, I have 5 Mosin Nagants and 2 SKS rifles. One of those SKSs I've got modded out with all kinds of black furniture and high-capacity magazines and everything else. So I've got a AK-like gun there for sporting use and that kind of stuff. And the AK is just a good gun to have around. It's a great collector's gun, and it's a great gun to. It's durable. It's certainly, it's fairly accurate. If you put the right ammunition through it and you have the right optic on it. And I like to shoot AKs with optics. And I've never owned an AK myself, so I really look forward to purchasing something just like this, like what High Standard has. Their price point's really good on all their guns, especially the AR-15s, and the AKs definitely are as well. So highstandard.com if you want to check those guys out. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Moving on, ATI Gun Stocks. These guys I've been following since 2011 when I started my work with Mac and Prowler, the TV show, predator hunting TV show up in Texarkana. And I've been a fan of theirs for a while. I have one of their ATI stocks on my Ruger 1022, and it's really cool. It's got a adjustable butt stock to it, and it's got a really beautiful black furniture. You can use obviously high cap mags in a 22 caliber, 1022 that they make aftermarket magazines, and really beautiful stock, very good fit and finish. I took some pictures of some of their other stocks. They make them for shotguns, for rifles, for 1022s, for SKSs, for AK-47s, for AR-15s, Mini 14 shotgun, single shot rifle, other guns. It's just amazing. They've got a whole catalog online. You can find them at atigunstocks.com. That's atigunstocks.com. They've got some really cool furniture for your firearms. And regardless of what you're shooting, they probably have a stock that fits it. And I've been a big fan of theirs for a long time. I really enjoy the ATI gun stock. So check them out for sure. All right, next up, XS Sight Systems. They recently joined the Fishing Game print and digital media on our magazine side as a sponsor of the Department of Defense column, and that's written by Dustin Ellerman and Stan Skinner, two fantastic outdoor writers, and they really have a cool night sight system, and it's hard to explain what these are over the airwaves, but it's really a cool rear and front sight combo that's good for a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun. They fit your average Glocks and your Walthers and these kind of guns, and they're basically effective low light sights, and they're snag free. They're very easy to install, and they're really versatile and really good for low light conditions where you might be in a home, shooting your gun for home defense, in a home defense scenario. You might be carrying concealed in a dark area and need a fast sight alignment. And what this does basically is lines up your sights quickly and gives you just great sight, on target capability for your rifle, gun, or shotgun. Rifle, shotgun, or pistol, I should say, and it's really a good product. I definitely say to check it out. If you'd not noticed their ad before in our magazine, you'll see what they look like in the ad. But they're in the Department of Defense section of the magazine every other month. They have been running lately, and then they are also, you can check them out on the blog post that I wrote, part 1 of the NRA show coverage, and you can find them at xssights.com. You can check those guys out, but I'm really excited about what they're up to. They're coming up with some newer, even cooler products in the future, and I'm excited to see what's coming next for them. But XS Sight Systems, lots of really cool things there going on. All right, I'm going to cover ammunition a lot in this episode because I found some really cool ammunition I like, and the one company that I ran into that I really enjoyed talking to was Freedom Munitions, and most likely if you're in the shooting community, you have probably heard of Freedom Munitions before as far as ammunition goes, but these guys make all kinds of different ammo. They had just cases and cases of ammunition that they were selling at the show, and it was going like gangbusters. I mean, they were sold out by Friday, I think, by the time I went back by their booth. And what's really cool is they have a couple of different lines of ammunition that are that was interesting to me. One is called the Hush line, and that basically is a silence ammunition for silence guns, subsonic ammo, and that's specially made to go through subsonic guns and run subsonic is what I'm trying to say. It's late, sorry. Run subsonic in guns with silencers, so they keep the noise down and so on and so forth. So the Hush line was pretty cool from Freedom Munitions. Also notice their Big Rains line, and we're talking firearms like the 500 Smith & Wesson or the 50 AE, guns that are big bore pistols and carbines and that kind of stuff. They have really good ammunition for them called Big Rains. And then my most interesting find there was the Bore Buster ammunition, which I think is huge for Texas. This is ammo that is specially designed for the 223 and other calibers that basically are hard hitting, 60 plus grain weight ammo, and it just hits them like a freight train. And I've seen some videos on their website I watched kind of doing the research for my blog post after I visited their booth, and they've got some really compelling evidence of hogs getting knocked down with a 223, which you don't hear of all the time, with always trying to find that perfect 223 ammunition for hunting. Boar Buster, check that out. freedommunitions.com. That's not Freedom Ammunition, it's freedommunitions.com, and you can check them out. They've got some really cool things. I really think that's a cool find for Texas, because Boar Buster is just coming out this year from what I understand, and I met these guys at SHOT Show initially and really liked their line of ammunition, and definitely going to try some of this new Boar Buster stuff here as soon as I can get some in my hands. So last one on part 1 is Bear & Son Cutlery. I cannot say enough about these guys. I love knives. Most guys do, I guess, that are in the outdoors. We collect guns, we collect knives, and I've got a heck of a collection of knives. I finally took my son, who's 7.5, over to my knife collection the other day and showed him all the different knives that I had, Bowie knives and folders and pocket knives and fixed blades and, so on and so forth. And he was just kind of blown away that I had that many of them. But I guess over the years you kind of collect them and they kind of add up. I'm getting a knife to do a Texas Tested in the magazine and online on from Bear & Sons. It's a beautiful rosewood handle that I have, and beautiful blade. It's a fixed blade knife that I'm doing a review on, and they're shipping that to me soon, so I should have that probably in the early fall issue of the magazine. And then one of the knives that caught my eye that is a really beaut, and that is the Indian bone or Indian stag bone Damascus knives that they have. Holy smokes. I mean, they're stag bone handle, and they have a Damascus blade, and they're made right here in the United States. And so unlike a lot of these forums you go on, or Facebook groups and that kind of stuff, you got all of these Damascus blades coming from the Middle East. I mean, these are actually made here in the United States. And the Damascus pattern on them is absolutely unbelievable. But they've got anything from, your pocket knives to your fixed blade knives to your hunting knives to your Bowie knives. I mean, all kinds of different knives. And they recently acquired Gatco sharpeners. And if you know Gatco, that stands for Great American Tool Company. They've been a sharpener company for many, many years, and I met them at NRA last year before Bear & Son bought them, and I'm blown away at having a knife company to buy a sharpener company. I think that's the best decision ever. I think that's awesome, and I really enjoyed visiting with those guys. I know Sandy over there and the rest of the folks over there at Bear & Son, and they're just great people to check out. So their website is going to be bearandssoncutlery.com. So bearandssoncutlery.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. You can check them out. And that's the end of part 1 coverage. So so far we've covered a few companies, and we're going to move into part 2. I was going to break this up into several different parts, but I figure it may work better to just make it one whole podcast that I'll put on all the different blog posts that people can listen to when they want to. And so that's kind of the format I wanted to do today. So it's just going to be me talking about what I found at the show, but hopefully you enjoy this, and I certainly enjoy doing this with you. Okay, back to ammunition again. We talked about ammunition company before last, and there's another company that I ran into that's very impressive, and that is Allegiance Ammunition. And they make a Power Strike, Hog Strike, and Silent Strike ammunition. And their ammunition is like nothing I've ever seen for the 223. And I know I just talked about the Boar Buster ammunition from Freedom Munitions, and that's definitely groundbreaking. But what they've done here with the ammunition that they have, at the Hog Strike ammunition at Allegiance Ammunition, is that they basically have done a 80 grain 223. And that's like never been done before that I know of as far as traditional loadings for that gun. Typically 60, 64, 62, somewhere in there was kind of as heavy as you go on a typical factory load ammunition that you'd find at the store, let's say. I'm not saying it's not been done heavier than that, but it's not common is what I'm trying to say. But what I've seen with the Hog Strike is that their 80 grain 223 is absolutely incredibly, devastating. They also make 110 grain 223. Never seen anything like this before. It's kind of groundbreaking, and I'm definitely ordering some of this to take on a hog and deer hunt this next year with my AR-15 to see how it performs. But they claim that it hits as hard as a 308. But with that much, power and energy and everything, the way that they compress their loads and everything, I mean, I'm interested to see if that's true. But I think it's definitely groundbreaking. What you really want out of a heavy bullet like that is a 1-7 twist barrel, or I've got a 1-9 twist, and mine should work from when I talked to the owner of Allegiance, Jeff Mullins. And But I really am looking forward to trying out some of this ammunition. I thought that was really interesting. So they also make a silent strike ammunition, which can be used out of it's a subsonic round that can be used, obviously, with a suppressor and an AR-15 platform. It basically runs at 975 feet per second in semi and full automatic. And I saw some videos of them actually firing that gun. Obviously, they couldn't demonstrate it at the show, but they had some videos of some guys firing a 223 AR-15 and 223, and they were basically firing that at 975 feet per second. And semi and full automatic, and it functioned flawlessly. So they have 3 different types of ammunition. I've got the of silent strike ammunition for subsonic loads. I've got the images of that from the email that they sent me. I'm on their email list, and then I also have the Allegiance kind of their backdrop of all their different ammunition offerings they have. They also have Power Strike, which I mentioned at the beginning. That's a line of ammunition for self-defense, and it's very devastating from the things that I've seen from it. Probably going to order some for myself, and we'll talk some more about ammunition in just a minute again. So I've got a couple of ammo companies that I'm reviewing here. And STI Guns, this is another one that I reviewed last year, and I'll bring them back because they're another Texas company. And what I'm really excited about with them is they make I really didn't know enough about them last year when I talked about this at the NRA wrap-up show that I did. They make a awesome handgun. Their handguns basically are around $2,000 to $3,000, so they're not the cheapest handguns you're going to find, but they're performance grade, custom 1911s, and their own proprietary model, the 2011 model. I stopped by their booth, and I actually visited them initially at the Texas Firearm Festival, which you can visit at texasgunfest.com. That is coming up here pretty soon. And believe few months, early fall months, we'll be doing something with them in the future on the podcast as well, promoting the Texas Gun Fest. But anyway, I went to a range day, and I got to fire one of their DVC model series at this local range day event that I went to. And that is by far the smoothest shooting 1911 9mm gun that I've ever fired. I mean, it fits well in your hand. It doesn't kick too bad, like a lot of times the 45 calibers will bite you kind of a little bit with kind of the enhanced recoil. But in 9mm, I mean, these guns were just an absolute blast to shoot. They're smooth, they're fast, they're easy to shoot, I guess is the best way to say it. Now that I've had some experience behind one of them, I can really talk about the fit and finish that they have to their guns and how smooth they shoot. I mean, they basically make these guns for performance shooters that are shooting three gun and other competitions and those kind of things. But I'm just really impressed by these guys. I mean, they really have done something with the 1911 platform and their own proprietary, like I said, 2011 model platform, but they basically make a full-size handgun that is based, and their motto is performance defined, so they definitely do make every shot count in that regard. They're based right here in Georgetown, Texas, which is just a few minutes away from where I live in the Leander, Texas area here in Central Texas, and so it's been great getting to know them and their booth shot that I took at their booth, photo that I took at their booth at the on the website at fishgame.com under Part 2's coverage. All right, Desert Tech. Oh my goodness, these guys. They are up to some really, really cool stuff. Desert Tech basically in their basic model of their gun is a bullpup style bolt action rifle, long-range shooting rifle, that you basically can swap out barrels in minutes. So you can go from a 308 to, let's say, a 300 Win Mag or a 338 Lapua or some other kind of big bore or kind of larger caliber Magnum style rifle caliber that shoots a long way in a matter of minutes. I'm really impressed by these guys and what they have to offer, because they're continually coming out with really cool stuff, and they make their own ammunition, which is very very neat to see. They even make it for like the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is a round I'm quite fond of. Thinking about getting a gun in 6.5 Creedmoor, but that's one of the rounds that they load for. They have their own line, like I said, of ammunition. They have their own line of bolt-action rifles. Their newest rifle, which has been all the rage in the firearm circles that I run in, is the MDR, the Micro Dynamic Rifle, which is a semi-automatic bullpup style rifle that is chambered in 308, 223, or 300 Blackout. And their claim to it is it's portable, adaptable, and ambidextrous. And seeing this gun up close, I've heard so much about it, especially in the firearm circles that I run in. Holding it and having it up close and seeing the fit and finish to it, they put a lot of research behind this gun, and it's not for everybody. It's definitely a different kind of gun in the world of firearms, because it looks different from anything you've ever seen. I mean, it looks like a bullpup, but it is a different style of bullpup, and the same deal with their bolt-action rifles. I mean, they're way different from anything you've ever seen before, and they're both the bullpup semi-automatic and the bolt-action are both just phenomenal guns. The quality is really there. The fit and finish, like I said, is there. And they also make silencers and also, like I said, their own ammunition. So they've got a lot of good things going on there. One thing I was going to mention that I've not talked about on the podcast before is the Trazol app. That is Trasol. You can look that up in the App Store of Apple iTunes App Store, or the Apple Store, as it were, or Google Play, or anywhere you can find apps for an Android or for an iPhone. And they basically it's a long-range shooting trajectory app. Trajectory Solutions is what Trazol stands for. And it basically goes through and calculates where to aim, how to take your shot at a long distance, as long as you put in all the calculating variables of your wind direction, your caliber, your, so on and so forth, just all the different parts. I did a review on this at fishgame.com a few months ago. I want to say it was back in the fall, and I really enjoyed this app. I mean, I'm not much of a long-range shooter, normally, but using this app for the shooting that I did do, it seemed like it had everything that I ever wanted out of an app, out of a shooting app. So I definitely recommend checking out Trazol. It's like $10 or so when it first came out. I'm sure it's about the same price now, but either way, I think it's a worthwhile app if you're a shooter, especially a long-range shooter, and want to get the best app for your money. I think that's definitely a good consideration. But these guys have thought of everything. I mean, they've got ammo, they've got silencers, they've got bolt action, they've got semi, auto loading guns. I mean, just really, really cool stuff. I originally met this guy that worked for Desert Tech. He was a sales rep for them and still is, and he listens to the podcast, actually, so hello, Luke, if you're listening. And but Luke and I got to know each other over a couple of cold drinks down at the Louisville, Kentucky show back in 2016, last year at the NRA show, which was in May. And we just had a blast talking to each other and sharing podcast stuff and just really talking guns, just like guys like to do. So really enjoy Luke, and I've really enjoyed meeting him and getting to know him over the years. So anyway, all right, next up is Hatsan USA. These guys, I am into air guns, as you know, and these guys have a really cool air gun that I wanted to bring up in regards to something that's different. And one thing I noticed that these guys have on most all their guns, especially their big bore, is a quiet energy barrel. And or quiet energy barrel technology, I think is what they call it. And they basically have small bore from 177 to 22 caliber, like most air gun companies have. But they've got some big bore, and they've got some semi-automatic bullpup style air guns called the Bullmaster and the Barrage. And I hope to have them on as a sponsor one day and hope to interview one of their pros, because I really get a rise out of what they're doing with the semi-automatic air gun that's not really been done that much in the regards of a lot of air guns that are big bore these days are single shot, like the ones from Air Force that I'll talk about later in the show. But these guys have really cool stuff. As far as the single shot stuff that they've got the Hercules, which comes in 30 caliber, 35 caliber, or 45 caliber. And then they have small bore versions as well as 177 to 25 caliber. And of course, 22 caliber is kind of in the middle there. But I love air guns so much because they're cleaner to shoot than a firearm. They don't, kick off brass or any kind of leavings that you have to go clean up later. They're fun to shoot. They're relatively quiet to shoot, even with or without a suppressor. They're fun for kids to shoot, really, too. And I really enjoy, taking kids out. My son's old enough now where we can go squirrel or rabbit hunting, or just go plink in the backyard and the gun range or wherever. And I really enjoy air guns because they allow me to do so much more that firearms don't. That firearms sometimes restrict us from doing. So that's why I bring up air guns so often in this show. I'm such a big fan. So speaking of Silencer Co., Dustin Ellerman, the other Dustin of Texas Fishing Game, and I went to the SHOT Show range day together this last year. And if you check out my YouTube channel, my last name is spelled Warncke. Dustin's my first name, of course. Your host of the Best of the Outdoors podcast. Anyway, if you go to my YouTube channel, I've got some range day videos. I may even segment those into a playlist. So they've got, so it's nothing but range day videos. But Dustin Ellerman and I got together in January and went to the SHOT Show range day. Had a blast with each other, man. Shooting guns, video and footage, just really having a lot of fun. And the one gun that we shot there was the integrally suppressed 9mm handgun called the Maxim 9. And this gun comes in a short or a long configuration. It takes, I believe, Glock magazines, if I'm not mistaken, but don't hold me to that. But anyway, it looks almost like a gun it's futuristic. It almost looks like a gun out of RoboCop, the way that they've got it integrally suppressed. And it's a slick piece. I mean, it's incredibly sleek. It shoots well. It handles well. It feels well. I can't say enough about, it being really the first integrally suppressed 9 on the market like that. I think Silencer Co. is the first one to come along and do anything like that. When they first came out with it in 2016, I was kind of like, I don't know. But then when I got to shoot it at range day, I was like, holy smokes, this thing really has some legs, It really did. So I definitely give my hats off to Silencer Co. for coming out with a good silencer there. Silenced version of a 9mm integrally suppressed. Also, we got the opportunity to shoot the Omega 45K suppressor. I have a picture of the Maxim 9 on the fishgame.com website under part 2 of the NRA show coverage, and then I also have a photo of the Omega 45K suppressor on a AR-15 style rifle. It's a pretty good looking can, and really, decently affordable. Most of these silencer companies have pretty affordable things, but what I like about it is that it's fully welded. It's a tubeless configuration, so it reduces sound dramatically, and it's also small and lightweight. I mean, what more could you expect from a suppressor? I think that's really a good combination to have, and they make silencer ownership, fairly easy, and you can get them at other silencer retailers out there. Or you can check them out at silencerco.com. They're definitely one to check out there for really cool things. We ran a video series called Harvested with one of their pros and then one of their people. And Darren Jones is the guy's name that I know that was in that film. And it's a little short film. It's on fishgame.com if you want to check it out. It's called Harvested. And it's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's basically about Texas coyote hunting and kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, the opportunities when you miss, the opportunities when you, can't get your shot lined up, it's just hunting, and I really enjoyed the basis of that film was kind of, this is the real deal, get your hands dirty, we'll look at hunting. And I think that's a really good thing, especially for non-hunters and anti-hunters out there, to really see what we go through as hunters. They did a really good job on that film. So I look for more of those things to come up on our website at fishgame.com. We really look forward to a partnership with them in some way in the future with Silencer Co. So definitely good things. Okay. Last post on part 2 is DeSantis Gun Hide. Oh my goodness. These guys have concealed carry holsters for numerous models of handguns, hunting holsters, belts, many other high quality products. I mean, they're just absolutely beautiful leather products and goods that they have. I carry 9mm usually with me, or 9x18 Makarov, Bulgarian Makarov, which is obviously a comm block or Eastern European gun, as my carry weapon. And having that in a good holster, a good solid leather holster, is a good consideration to have, because DeSantis makes some really, really nice stuff. And they don't just use leather; they have other materials, Kydex and that kind of stuff as well. But it's hard for me to pick one favorite thing that I like about them. But I think I'm going to do a Texas Tester review on them soon. I really am in love with their workmanship. They really put the time and effort into good leather making, and have been at it for over 40 years. It's a family-owned company. They're based up in New York, in that area, and they really do good at these shows because they display all the different, showcases of products that they have, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're absolutely incredibly beautiful and well made and well built. So you can check these guys out at DeSantisHolster.com. That's DESANTIS holster.com. Lots of fun there. They came up with the slogan, "We didn't invent concealment, we just perfected it." So I think that's pretty well said. They really have some good things there, especially scabbards and holsters and things for inside the waistband, outside the waistband. And in Texas now, we can conceal carry, we can open carry. All we have to have is a license to carry license, which I have mine right here. And I really think that no matter which way you carry, and that is certainly a personal choice, I would give these guys a try for your next firearm purchase or handgun that you want to put in some good looking stuff, because you look good and you also have a secure way to carry your firearms. So definitely recommend DeSantis holsters. Okay, part 3. So next up, we're going to talk about my friends at Air Force Air Guns. Oh my goodness. They obviously have the Texan, which I've talked about many times on this show if you listened as an active listener for a while. I don't know what more I can say about it, but it is my favorite air gun in the world. I really have a lot of fun with the Air Force Texan because it is a powerful, single-shot, make one shot count kind of gun, and it's just a lot of fun to shoot, especially for varmints, for predators, for hogs. I took a really nice hog with this back in 2016, the very end of 2016 in December, and we just had that hog for Easter dinner a couple of weeks ago. It was really good. And they're coming out with the SS model, which means super suppressed or integrally suppressed version of the Texan in .45. And then they'll also come out with super suppressed versions of the .357 caliber and the .308 caliber. Also available is the Condor, the Escape, the Talon P. Fantastic models of guns that run in between 177 to 22 to 25 caliber. I want to say most of theirs are between 22 and 25 caliber. I'm not that familiar with the other models I don't own, but I have a Talon P in 25 caliber, and I absolutely love it. It's a great gun again for kids. It's a great gun for taking your grandkids out shooting for the first time. It's a single shot, so they're not going to shoot. It's like shooting a single shot 22 in a lot of ways, except for it's a lot cleaner. You don't have extra brass to clean up or keep track of. You don't have to get your hands all gummy with gunpowder. You just have a little bit of lead to wash off your hands from the lead ammunition that you use. But what I like to use in the Air Force air guns that I shoot, especially the 25 caliber, is JHP Diablo pellets, and those work really well. You can shoot regular bullets in a 25 caliber or 22 caliber gun, like lead bullets, but I prefer pellets, especially just for the game that I hunt around here and the target shooting that I do. But Another good consideration about air guns that I wanted to make is that they really help you honing your skills on shooting without a lot of money. They're cheaper to shoot than a 22, really. If you consider after you buy a scuba tank, after you buy the fitting for the scuba tank to connect to the air gun, that sets you back about $200 or $300, and then you buy the air gun itself, which will set you back, depending on how much you want to spend, a few $100. And then, it's really no different than owning any kind of other gun out there, really. It's just cheaper to shoot and maintain over the years, especially because all your costs are up front with the air tank and the gun and the Foster fitting and that kind of stuff to air it up. And but really, I enjoy shooting it more than I enjoy shooting my 22, and I think I've been like that for years, and I've said that on video before too. I really enjoy it. It's a really good gun to shoot for kids especially, and for just practicing your trigger control, your breathing, that kind of stuff that you need to do when making a good, solid, positive shot on a target. So I definitely think that's cool. But the guys at Air Force really keep on busting it out. I mean, they bring great products to the market. Their guns look very odd and different and I mean odd in a good way. They look very different from any kind of other gun out there. I get all kinds of strange looks at the range and stuff, and then everybody asking, what the heck is that thing? It just looks really different from any other gun out there, and I like it because it kind of sets me apart from the average shooter. They also have BKL Technologies, which makes their mounts and their fancy levels and all kinds of different things that you can get for your air gun, and they mainly make that and manufacture that for air gun enthusiasts, but love these guys. So airforceairguns.com. If you've not noticed before, they're also a sponsor on fishgame.com. You can notice one of their Texan banners. They've been getting great traffic on our website too, so but the world's most powerful production air rifle, the Air Force Texan from Air Force Air Guns. Okay, next up, back to silencers. Now, as I said before, and I've mentioned it on other episodes of the show, you don't have to have a tax stamp, or any kind of NFA paperwork or anything like that for owning an integrally suppressed air gun. But when it comes to owning a suppressor for a firearm, I've not seen anybody do it quite as well as Silencer Shop has, and I ran into them at the show too. They had 120 silencers on display from 20 different manufacturers, so they kind of run the gamut on several different silencer companies that they represent, and they're a retailer. And they have a system called the SID system, which basically, I forget what SID stands for, but it basically is a system that is a kiosk, if you will, that you actually walk up to and get your thumbprints and your fingerprints and all the different things that you have to do. Your paperwork and everything is simplified with these kiosks. They have over 300 of them nationwide in different gun stores mainly, and other areas there. They had some kiosks there at the actual NRA show to help people get started with their fingerprints and get started with owning a suppressor. And it kind of seemed complicated at first, but the more I learned about Silencer Shop and silencer ownership and how Silencer Shop does it with working with the NFA and obeying the laws and doing everything that they do legally to make the process, they make the process just extremely easy for the consumer. And I really enjoy seeing that, because I've not seen another company approach it the same way like they did, and the way that they have. And obviously they've been a sponsor of fishinggame.com or fishgame.com for a while, and really enjoyed having them on board and really learning more about their suppressors, because they've got so many different ones. And I'll talk some more about suppressors a little bit later in the show, but I can't say enough about these guys. They just really make silencer owning simple and easy, and as easy as it possibly can be, as painless as it possibly can be, is what I should say. So there you go, silencershop.com. You can check these guys out. Okay, another one I was at there was Husky Liners, and I published a Texas Testing article back last summer about Husky Liners. I have them in my Dodge Ram 1500 truck. Absolutely love them. I think they're the best part of my truck. They're one of the best features of my truck. Not that my truck's old and beat up, but they really make my truck look newer and cooler and more relevant, and because I drive like an 11-year-old truck, but I just love older trucks and high mileage miles, and all that stuff doesn't bother me. So when I got these brand new liners to put in my truck, they really dressed it up. And the new thing that I'm trying out with them right now is the gearbox, which goes underneath the back seat. And so if you lift the back seat part up, you should have a storage container, area, or storage bin, if you will, or storage area underneath your rear seat. My wife's truck's a 06 GMC Sierra, and hers does not have that capability, but most newer trucks within the last 10 years or so should have that capability of a flip-up rear seat. And what this gearbox does is basically it's a compartmentalized organizer that's made out of the same heavy-duty material that the Husky liners are made out of, rotomolded kind of thing. And you basically just slip it in there. It slides in like a glove, man, on top of the rear area, storage area that you have, and really makes your truck look good. There's a couple of inches of clearance between the seat and the rear area there. It keeps your gear organized. It keeps your stuff from rolling around all over the place in the back. It's just a really smart idea they came up with, and really a durable product that really looks good in your truck. It looks like it came from the factory. It really does. So I've had a lot of fun experimenting with the gearbox, and I got some pictures of that gearbox and the Husky liners on fishgame.com under the part 3 of the coverage. Okay, back to ammunition. G2 Research. Talked about them in the blog post of 2016 and the podcast of 2016, wrapping up the NRA show. These guys make what I call starfish ammunition. It's ammunition basically that's built for personal protection and hunting, because it basically will hit a target and open up like a starfish would, or like a 6-wheel spoke would. That's what it looks like when it opens. And they've got some ballistic gels, just like some of the other ammunition companies did, of their ammunition in progress, showing how it shot in ballistic gel and that kind of stuff. And pretty impressive stuff. I'm thinking about getting some of the personal protection ammunition for my 357 mag. They have a new line called Telios, I think is the way you say it. Telos, Telios line. It comes in 38 special, 380 ACP, 9mm plus P, 357 Magnum, 45 ACP, and 45 long Colt. And I own about half of those calibers, so I'll probably stock up on some of that stuff. It's not cheap ammunition. The Telos line is a lot cheaper, though, than the actual rip out and trident ammunitions that G2 makes. But you're not looking at a lot per box. And listen, this brings up a really good point. When it comes to your safety and your own personal defense, don't go cheap on the ammunition. There's a lot of areas you can go cheap. You can buy a military surplus gun like I've got, like my Bulgarian Makarov. Great carry gun. It cost me about $150 when I first bought it. They're worth about $225 or $250 now, but they're still cheaper than a lot of pistols that you can buy. But if you want to go cheap, you can go cheap on the gun. You at least get something that fires well and is not going to be a Saturday night special. But don't go cheap on the ammunition. I mean, spend $30 or $40 for a box of ammunition. When it comes to your life may depend on it. It's a good consideration to make, because you never know when you're going to need it, and it better be there and it better perform. And this stuff definitely, from what I've seen of the aftermath of what they show of their bullets opening up and those kind of things, the trident, the rip out, the Telos, all the different ammunition that they have is just incredible. And like I said, the Telos, you can actually use in revolvers and stuff, where the other ammunition you could really only use in semi-automatic handguns. So they also make a 223 and 300 blackout, as well as a 7.62 by 39, 308, 270, and 30-06 and 300 Win Mag. Trident Rip Out, which is their premium rifle ammunition. And that stuff opens up just incredibly. I've not seen very many ammunition companies pull off what they were able to pull off with the expansion capabilities that they have of their ammunition. But I've got some pictures of some of their ammunition on the website, on the blog post. Part 3 of the NRA show coverage at fishgame.com. You can go check that out. All right, last one for Part 3 is Gym Tech. Had the chance to stop by and meet with the folks at Gym Tech. Phil is my guy I talked to over there. And their slogan is world-class silencers. They make a silencer for the 30 caliber, 7.62 by 38 rimmed, I think is what it is, the rifle or the pistol caliber. But they make it for the Nagant pistol, and that is a self-sealing system, basically of an old school technology. It was really new and improved and big for the early 1900s when this was developed, late 1800s when this was developed. But that was kind of an officer's pistol. They actually make a suppressor for that. For any 30 caliber style pistol like that, or there's not really many 30 caliber pistols out there, but they make a suppressor that can go on any 30 caliber gun, and it fits that Nagant very well. And I was just blown away to see a suppressor on one of those pistols because they're such a strange looking pistol, and they did it. They also put a suppressor on the Mosin Nagant, which is one of my favorite rifles, as you know, if you listen to the show very long. I own 5 Mosin Nagants, as I said earlier when I was talking about high standard. Love that gun. I'm thinking about getting a barrel threaded myself and getting a suppressor on either a custom build or on one of my already modded 9130s that I have. Mosin Nagant's the long rifle version of the pattern rifle, and they've done really well with suppressors. They thread your barrel. They will match your suppressor for that gun, no matter what kind of gun you own. They also make integrally suppressed 22s, like the Mist. It's an integrally suppressed 22 caliber rifle based off of a Ruger 1022. I'm just really impressed with these guys, Gemtech. They make pistol, obviously, pistol caliber, rifle caliber, silencer options, and they had a whole wall of guns at the NRA show that you basically could go pick up and look at and see how that gun fit with that suppressor and how the balance was and that kind of stuff. And really had a lot of fun visiting with them and taking some pictures. And I've got those pictures, as I said, posted up on the blog site. So go check those out, see what I mean, and you can kind of get an idea. All right. Last section of our podcast today, and I've been almost here an hour. I can't believe it. My goodness. Well, thank you so much for sticking in there with me for this long. Part 4 I'm moving into next. All right, Swagger bipods. I have really been impressed with these guys. They're doing something really outside of the box and with the bipod and the way a bipod works. They are owned by the same sister company, or I think the sister company to them is Big & J, which is a great deer attractant and hog attractant here in the great state of Texas. If you've never heard of Big & J, you can look them up. They make a lot of great long-range attractants for deer and hogs and other game. Definitely check the Big & J brand out because I've used it with a lot of success in my hunting areas, and it's really brought in a lot of game from a lot of different areas, which has been great. Put some in my feeder. I sprinkle some on the ground and just kind of wait and dig a hole, bury some, for the hogs to find and that kind of stuff. It has been some good stuff. But Swagger Bipods is their sister company, and this is a new system that's out on the market, and it's absolutely legendary. It basically gives you a solid shooting rest in just about any shooting position around just about any terrain. And what it is it's a bipod system that's mounted on the bottom of your gun where most bipods are, but it stays tucked out of the way in its kind of casing, if you will. And once you untuck the bipod and open it up, it basically works as a very stable shooting rest, but it kind of bends and moves with you as you need it to move, but it's still solid. It's hard to explain without really seeing, but it's one of the most innovative bipods I've ever seen, and I've seen a bunch of bipods out there, and I'm really impressed with what these guys have done with Swagger and this bipod system. It's not a very inexpensive system. It's right around $150, $200 for this piece, but as far as hunting, spot and stalk hunting, African hunting, Western game hunting, if you're going after elk or muleys or something like that, and you're really on the run and gun for those animals with your rifle or your crossbow or any kind of stationary shooting situation like that, really highly recommend these guys. Swaggerbipods.com is how you find them. Oh my goodness, they have just some great stuff with their bipods. You can shoot in all kinds of different positions: sitting, kneeling, prone. you name it, and this bipod will follow you wherever you go, and will basically adjust to where you need to make a solid shot. And so a lot of bipods I've shot off over the years, haven't necessarily been attached to a gun, but they don't give you a lot of flexibility. This one does, and it also provides a really solid shooting rest. So I really highly recommend you check out Swagger Bipods, swaggerbipods.com. All right, last but not least, getting down to the bottom of our list here, we have crossman air guns and center point crossbows. Oh my goodness. Saw these guys last year at NRA, saw these guys this year at SHOT Show. Really excited about what they do. They have a Pioneer airbow, which is something that's never been created before, something that it's its own tame animal, it's its own wild animal, I should say. It's just amazing. And what it is basically it shoots a standard arrow with no knock on it. Basically, the arrow goes over a metal tube, and the arrow basically shoots out of the airbow, out of that tube, with the air being pushed at the top of the arrow, the broadhead side of the arrow, and basically pushed and moved, and it runs at 450 feet per second. The fastest crossbow that I know of is 425 feet per second, and that's a Scorpid, which is a ridiculously fast reverse draw crossbow. But I've never seen anything like this. Jim Shoggy took a buffalo with this airbow. A lot of people have taken a lot of deer, a lot of hogs, that kind of stuff. They're even trying to pass some legislation down here in Texas with us where we can make it legal for deer hunting. I think it's a great weapon. I've done a review on it before at fishgame.com about the different sides of the airbow and how it works and the different metrics of it and everything like that. And I really think it's a cool gun. Not really a gun. It's not really an air gun. It's more of an air bow, and that's why they call it an air bow. But it basically uses air, not a string, to propel an arrow, and I really think it's really cool. They also have some big bore guns, like the Bulldog is their 357 model of big bore air gun, and it's really, really cool. Nice, really interesting style of gun. It's almost a bullpup style, kind of. It's a little bit different. It's really another gun, kind of like the Air Force Air Guns gun. It's just way different from anything you've ever seen before. But it's a really cool big bore gun in 357 caliber. They also have the Mayhem, which is one of the 22 calibers that they have with a silencing barrel device, which is also called SBD. They have the Mayhem in 22 caliber, for instance, that runs that SBD, silencing barrel device. And it's a lot of fun to shoot silenced air guns. I can't say enough about it. You don't need a stamp for it. Like I said, you don't need any NFA paperwork for it. You can get an air gun shipped straight to your door. And that's why I talk about air guns so much, because they're so easy to own, they're so easy to clean and maintain, and they don't leave a lot of trash behind like firearms do. And this Mayhem is a good example of this new silenced barrel device. It almost looks like a square suppressor that's on the bottom, or a rectangular suppressor that's on the top of the barrel, but it's integrally suppressed, and it's really cool. I really dig that thing a lot. And then also the other thing I wanted to mention was the crossbows that are available from Centerpoint Crossbows. Now, Centerpoint originally started as an optics brand, and I've owned a couple of Centerpoint scopes before for my air guns. I own a Benjamin Marauder, which is a Crossman brand, and had a lot of fun with that. And 25 cal is my first 25 cal air gun that I've had. And I had a lot of fun shooting that thing, and really just nailing. My dad actually has the air gun now, and nails squirrels and crows and all kinds of different things out in Oklahoma where he lives. And I go up and visit him and watch him shoot that thing. But it's silent but deadly. I mean, the integrally suppressed Marauder is just a great gun. It comes in synthetic now, stock or wood stock, and just a really great gun. That's the Benjamin Marauder in 25 cal. And then they also obviously have these Centerpoint crossbows. So they've come out now this year with a recurve version of the crossbow, which I think is really cool. There's a lot of companies that do recurves well, and this is definitely a good entry to that market for them. The compound bow thing they've done very well, though, and a very good price point as well. For example, the Sniper 370 model is under $400, which is absolutely amazing for a crossbow that powerful and compact. So if you're looking to get in the crossbow market, you're not sure you want to spend a lot of money, I've always recommended your Barnetts or your other value price crossbows, but I'm adding these guys to my list for sure. I've heard nothing but good things about the Centerpoint crossbows from folks that own them on the different Facebook groups that I frequent that are archery and crossbow shooting groups. And absolutely amazing crossbows for sure. So I really, really think they've got something good here. And this is actually voted Editor's Choice, I think, in Outdoor Life one year, as far as a value-based crossbow that's not a very expensive, but it's very action-packed. It definitely has the models features that a lot of models that cost a lot more, 3-4 times as much, have. And I definitely check them out. So they have a website. You can just Google Centerpoint crossbows, and you'll come up with the details on that. It's on Crossman's website as well. All right, last but not least, the last place that I stopped off of Saturday before I left the show was CZ USA. And I've been a fan of CZ for a while. They've sponsored a lot of the events and those kind of things that I go to. They make shotguns, they make rifles, they make handguns, obviously. CZ's been around for a number of years now, and many, many years, and make a lot of really good guns. The one gun that caught my eye at this show, and I'm not a huge handgun guy if you guys know me, but they make Dan Wesson, and they obviously make their own CZ brand of pistols. And the Dan Wesson line, I'm really impressed with some of the stuff that they do. It's beautiful looking handguns. But the CZ P10, I don't review a lot of handguns on this show. I don't talk about things, but this is one of the most comfortable striker-fired handguns I've ever had the pleasure of handling. It really is. The ergonomics make it worth it. It's right around $500 MSRP, plus or minus. Striker-fired handguns a lot of times are bulky and not comfortable to shoot. This trigger pull was clean at about 4 to 4.5 pounds. Reset was short. Follow-up shots would be quick and easy with it. Obviously, I didn't have a chance to shoot it at the show, but maybe I will on a next range day or something like that when I can get out there and get some live fire training going on. But really impressed with this. And this gun comes in 9mm. Great carry gun. Great for open carry, concealed carry. Serious consideration as far as handguns go. That's the one thing that caught my eye there at CZ for sure. So I definitely wanted to mention that. All right, at the end of my blog post, I basically talked about how much I love the show. I mean, the NRA is my favorite show that I go to the entire year. I really enjoy the people I get to meet. They're really salt-of-the-earth American red meat-eating people that go to this show. And there's one guy that I talked to from one of the airgun companies, and he said this is like a 60,000 person focus group that tells you exactly what they think and has no inhibitions on leaving anything else on the table. They pretty much tell you exactly what they think about your product, whether they like it, whether they don't, whatever the case may be. They let you know, and they let you know right away and without any inhibitions. They just lay it all out on the table there. So I really think that's a cool thing about that show, because you get some brutally honest people that kind of give you a feedback of what you like and what they don't like, and that's kind of cool, especially from the marketing perspective, which I love, and since I'm in sales and marketing for the outdoor industry. So anyway, if you have not done so already, please check out our iTunes and subscribe to The Best of the Outdoors on your podcast player. Feel free to please leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or wherever you found this show, even if it's at thebestoftheoutdoors.podbean.com, which is our website that has all the info for your listening pleasure. That has all of our different shows from when we began almost 2 years ago. We're celebrating 2 years this month, as a matter of fact, so the next show I'll have something special for you maybe. And anyway, but I just wanted to thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for reading. Thanks for listening. All that stuff. If you've not subscribed to the show yet, please do so. We try to pump out a new show every 2 weeks, every other week, and really enjoy doing this with you. And I just want to thank you again so much for tuning in and listening, especially for as long as this show went this time. And have an awesome day in the outdoors.